He's a professor at SUNY Maritime College and joins us now for some more reaction to this from New York. Mark, thank you very much, as always, for joining us on the News Hour. This surprise trip from Volodymyr Zelenskyy, he's clearly in Washington to press home the need for financial support. But how much is it about sending a message to Russia and to Vladimir Putin as well? I can still sit down with the most powerful leader in the world and still command his support.
Well, the optics are very, very good, as you showed. Here is Zelenskyy coming in his fatigues. He's not wearing a suit, from the battlefield, meeting with the President of the United States at the White House. That's really significant. Also, this is Zelenskyy being able to come over from Ukraine to the United States, right? Not in a webinar, not in a video, in person, and coming to the United States Congress and being accorded the honor accorded to someone like Churchill in the past. This is very important. But the dilemma is very clear. Look, the United States has given $21.9 billion of aid. Now, the government is shifting. The House of Representatives is going to the Republican Party as of January. The Republicans are not keen on these expenditures. Lita McCarthy, who might be the Speaker of the House, has said there's no blank check for Ukraine. And many Republicans have gone on Twitter and said, including one Congresswoman, Zelenskyy is coming to the U.S. to collect tax dollars from the American people. This is how a fringe or a group in the Republican Party feels about this. So this is why Biden is pushing forward right now at the end of the year, when usually Congress, is going home for Christmas and New Year's, to push forward with a major development to try to get this funding in, including very significant defensive funding, including the Patriots. But note that what is not being given is the really significant offensive weapons, which the Ukrainians really need and have been asking for to turn the course and the tide in this war. In other words, the dilemma is that Biden doesn't want to escalate this war because it's all politics is local. The Republicans are coming in. There's a presidential election coming in 2024. He's concerned that he doesn't want to provoke Putin into ratcheting this up into nuclear. At the same time, the American people are very supportive of Ukraine. And this is why Pelosi and Biden want to put Zelenskyy in front of the Congress, where he is a very good communicator, very reminiscent of Ronald Reagan. He tells the message. He's spoken to many parliaments, to politicians. He brings a good message. But the question is the spigot, is the money source unlimited? It is not. I think that with the winter coming, with all the problems that are in America and Europe, I think that what Biden might tell him is, we've got to figure out the end game here.
That may well be a topic of conversation, but certainly publicly, it's all about Zelenskyy trying to bolster that support. As you mentioned, control of the House will move to the Republicans next month, and that won't be lost on Zelenskyy, who will address Congress a little bit later today. As for what you mentioned about Joe Biden, he's got lots of different issues ahead of him. How much of let's say, an unwanted problem is Ukraine becoming for him? Because he's been staunch in his support for Ukraine and for Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and indeed his opposition to Vladimir Putin. But is this becoming something of a huge headache for Joe Biden?
Definitely a big political issue for Biden's political future. I don't think Biden his presidency is going to go forward if he wants to run again for president, if he continues to appropriate and take billions of dollars, even assuming the House, because under the Constitution, the House of Representatives, which is controlled by the Republicans, must originate all approvals of revenue expenditures. That's in our Constitution, in Article 1, Section 7, not the Senate, but the House. And he knows this. This is why he's rushing to do this. Also, he's looking at 2024. All politics is local. This is what Speaker Tip O'Neill said years and years ago. This is what this is all about. I think he is going to try to figure out an end game here. That's why he's not giving offensive weapons, he's giving Patriots. He wants to try to bring Russia to some sort of negotiating table. Well, what is the solution? Is it what Ukrainian President Zelensky says, I want everything the way it was, everything, I want all of it? How is that going to function? Because at the end of the day, the Russians want to save face, the Ukrainians want to save face, the Americans want to save face. There has to be some end game, because this cannot continue also because of the effect on the economy, the effect on gas prices. And what about the grain crisis in the Black Sea? That could be re-upped again by Putin in 5 seconds. President Erdogan negotiated a very good deal on that, but that could fall apart. So, you know, a lot of this is kind of, everything is stacked. It's kind of not balanced. And I think Ukraine doesn't have the leverage. Zelensky doesn't have the leverage here to make demands like that of the president. He has the feeling of the president. He has the moral support of the president. He's going to have the moral support of the Congress. But the American people are not going to be in favor of an unlimited appropriation of money for this war. I mean, we're talking billions here. And we have a government that, you know, can't keep spending billions and billions of dollars on this war endlessly. 300 days so far. Is it going to be another 300, 500? Are we going to have a war that's going to continue into 2024? That will be quite catastrophic for Biden's political future. So there are a lot of moving parts here, and I think that they're having a very frank discussion and trying to figure this out to get this resolved, because it just can't go on. And I think even the politics in America will dictate some sort of an end game to bring this about.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we have heard from Vladimir Putin today, Mark, suggesting that Russia's not to blame for the war in Ukraine. It's something he said before, of course. He claims it's the result of the policy of third countries. That's a fairly poorly veiled swipe at the United States and indeed at NATO. Joe Biden, though, clearly will have to continue to do what he is doing, support, but without giving them the offensive weapons, as you mentioned. Does Joe Biden genuinely think that he has a chance of running again in 2024 if he cannot solve the problem of Ukraine out?
Well, he has a lot of other issues besides. I mean, look, but Ukraine is a big factor. I'll tell you why that is. For example, going to get gas for my car. I mean, Americans are going to get gas with a car, and they see that number. And Biden used the strategic reserve to move the numbers down, to lower the gas prices. I mean, this is how American politics functions. Yes, Russia is attacking Ukraine, and yes, Russia is committing unspeakable acts of brutality against Ukraine. But what do Americans care about? The economy, gas prices. What do Europeans care about? Gas prices, heat in the winter. The winter's coming. I mean, and the election. Yeah, I think it's not just Ukraine that will make it untenable for Biden. I mean, it's the whole combination of the U.S. economy, his performance. If you look back at his performance, and I think if you look at Afghanistan and some other things, it is a little bit of a mixed report in terms of his resolve. Hopefully, I mean, good. I think the Senate, McConnell, the congressmen are all going to stand up and give us a rousing ovation to Vladimir Zelenskyy. And he deserves it for what the Ukrainian people did. But we're up against something with Putin. I mean, it's not something that we can deal with and simply figure out a rational solution to this. There has to be an end game here, which puts everything right and stable, and ceasefire and end of the carnage, because it's just going to go on. And honestly, drawing down billions of dollars will not be acceptable to the American people, and the Republican Congress will block it. I'm absolutely confident. I think Zelensky is going to have to agree, regretfully, to something of an agreement with Russia, which gives him back a peaceful Ukraine, some sort of a Russian withdrawal. By the way, Putin's statement about the military also stated that he had difficulty with the military. And note that he has reached out to Belarus for support, and he has reached out to Iran for support of drones. So the military posture of Russia here is not, in fact, they didn't conquer Ukraine in 5 days. They haven't conquered Ukraine, and the Ukrainians have been resolute. But again, the continuous calamity of civilian casualties and destruction, also the fear of the nuclear aspect here will have to bring this to a conclusion. There's no question about it. Do I have a crystal ball and know what the conclusion is? I don't know, but some sort of an agreement where Russia maybe keeps this Luhansk and Donetsk. I hate to say it. I mean, it's crushing to believe that, but how will Putin save face? And he's not going to just pull out. I mean, he's just going to keep doing what he's doing. So the end of the day is Biden needs to do a very, very careful solution to this that gets this done in advance of 2024. I'm afraid he really has to do that and have a political future, I think.
Mark, we thank you very much, as always, for coming on the News Hour. Mark Meirowitz there from New York State University.